Yes, I am ready. Remind us, we do have a quorum, barely. I don't see Commissioner Farley or Commissioner Angel is down. She's out. And I don't see Commissioner Farley here. So, but I think 4 is a quorum? Yes, so we can proceed. I'd like to remind the commissioners again, don't forget to unmute yourself, state your name when you're speaking. Today, as Clerk Gilliam has said, we will be doing our old-fashioned voting, not through the touchscreen. That system is not working today. So we'll do a standard roll call every time we have to vote. Okay, let's start. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to call to order the November 15th, 2022 Senior Citizen Commission meeting at 2:02 p.m. Can we do roll call?
All right, when you hear your name, please say present. Chair Ling.
Present.
Commissioner Hanwitt.
Present.
Commissioner Farley. Commissioner Koblenz.
Present.
Commissioner Martin. Present. All right, let the record show all commissioners are present except for Commissioner Koblenz and Angel.
Okay, and I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance today. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. We are on item 4, special presentations and proclamations. This afternoon, we have Santiago Cullingford, who is the community educator for Southern Caregiver Resource Center, or SCRC, and he's going to speak to us about understanding Alzheimer's and dementia.
Healthy brain aging. We're also going to define and understand Alzheimer's and disease and dementia, and we're also going to recognize the warning signs of Alzheimer's disease, which is really important to have. And then also at the end, I'm going to do a pitch for who Southern Caregiver Research Center is, and hope you guys can understand better a little bit of our organization. So could I have the next slide, please? So we're going to talk right now about healthy versus unhealthy brain aging. So we know that as people age, their bodily systems, including their brains, gradually decline. We know that as a fact. So what we like to call them slips of the mind, right? So they're associated with getting older. That said, people often experience those same slight memory lapses in their 20s. So even at 60, at 70, at 80, at 20, we have slips of the mind. But do not give it a second thought. Older adults often become anxious about memory slips. So due to the length of impaired memory, right? As we get older, we start to have a little bit more of memory slips, and then we think that memory slips equals dementia or equals Alzheimer's, and that's not true. So today we're going to be talking about healthy brain aging versus unhealthy brain aging. What are the differences? What are the similarities? Could I have the next slide, please? Oh, we're one ahead. I jumped ahead. Yeah, no worries. So there we go. So healthy brain aging. As you can see in the slides, these are some of the changes that we can see in a healthy brain aging. So we have hearing, eyesight, taste, touch, smell. Things like this will be changing with your body. So things like your eyesight will require glasses. Things like your taste and your taste. Things that we didn't like as kids that we like now more, like blue cheese. I don't know if you ever realized that the older people like blue cheese and kids don't like blue cheese because it's stronger for them, right? So our taste starts getting less and less powerful. We start to taste less. But these are things that are happening normal with age. So this is healthy brain aging, so things that we can consider normal in the process of getting older. So we also have things like difficulty learning something new. Committing new information to memory can take longer, like learning all this new technology, right? Learning new phones or learning new anytime like computer, things like this get harder as we get older. And multitasking, we cannot multitask as we used to when we're younger. Things like this also happen to be more difficult when we get older. remembering appointments, things like we need to use our calendar more, we need to use our schedules more because we can't have them on the mind at all times. Things like this are normal. So now moving on to things that are not normal. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Unhealthy brain aging. Could you click one more for me, please? Till this slide ends. Things like repetition. It's repetition, my slides. Yeah, repetition, so able to remember recent event conversations. So if you are with somebody who is repeating things like, what time is it? And you just told them 2 minutes ago, well, it's 2 p.m. Well, and then they ask you in 3 minutes, what time is it? And then what time is it? And then what time is it? Things like repetition. These are unhealthy brain changes. So if they start to notice that there's a lot of repetition in their sentences, they start to ask questions that they just asked. Things like this could be symptoms of Alzheimer's and dementia, right? And then completion of task, unable to plan, start, and complete a task. So if they say, today I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna go downstairs, I'm gonna make some breakfast, and then in the middle of that progress, they forget what they were doing, they do something else, they completely can't do it, they can't remember where the stairs are. Things like this are unhealthy brain aging. Track of time, unable to keep track of time. Even if the sun is out and the sun is right on top of us, we know kind of by a fact that it's around noon, right? So then these concepts of time, people that has Alzheimer's and dementia, they won't be able to understand, so they don't know that if the sun is out or the sun just dawned, they don't understand that that's morning. They don't understand things of cycles of time. It gets more difficult because in their brain, the cycle of time is such a logic basis understanding that when you have Alzheimer's and dementia and your brain is affected by this disease, basic things like telling time won't be able to be basically understood, right? And then we also have comprehension lapses, unable to follow simple directions like brushing your teeth. They won't be able to completely finish a task like brushing their teeth. It's really simple. You know, toothbrush, toothpaste, water, rinse. Things like those 4 simple steps, they won't be able to remember the second step. Okay, now that I have the toothbrush, now what do I do? Things like simple tests that we're able to do on an everyday basis. Someone with Alzheimer's and dementia won't be able to do it. So if you start to notice that somebody that is close to you, or if you know somebody that is having troubles like this, is probably a symptom of Alzheimer's and dementia. Moving on. I've been saying Alzheimer's and dementia, but what is dementia? So dementia, as stated by the CDC, is a decline in mental ability severe enough to interfere with the daily life, or our SCRC likes to call it their ADLs, which stands for Activities of Daily Living. So things like going downstairs, making breakfast, things like driving to the supermarket, right? It's like going to the bathroom, things that are really simple that we do on our daily activities. And someone that won't be able to do their daily activities can be said that has some type of dementia. So many dementias are progressive. As we know, someone with Alzheimer's disease can still live from 5 to 10 years, and even in some rare cases, more than 10 years. But it is progressive. It starts with really small symptoms, like maybe a little bit repetitive. Maybe I won't be able to complete a simple task, but most of their days are fine. And then as the disease gets worse and worse, you can start to tell that their memory lapses are going to get bigger. Their comprehension is going to get worse, and it will be progressive. It's a degenerative disease. And then also dementia the main cause, physiological cause, is caused by brain damage to the brain cells. So the brain cells are the things that get damaged, and then that's why it's basically a mental disease, right? It's in a control center. So that's where it attacks. Okay, moving on to the next slide. I like to bring this umbrella. So dementia is an umbrella term. Just like a good example that I like to bring is like cancer. So when you have a type of bone cancer, like bone cancer is still a type of cancer, right? So Alzheimer's is still a type of dementia. So dementia is the general term for this disease. So we have different types of dementia, just like we have different types of cancer. Different types of dementia like Alzheimer's disease, frontotemporal dementias, Lewy body disease dementia, vascular dementias, and then you have a list of all other types of dementia that are not as common. But you might be thinking, okay, so out of all these dementias, you probably mostly heard about Alzheimer's disease, right? It's like the number 1 disease. If we move on to the next slide. So these are some dementia statistics that I like to bring. So the most common type of dementia you can see by the purple is Alzheimer's disease. It accounts for 60 to up to 80% of cases of dementia. And then the next one is called vascular dementia, which occurs after a stroke, which is the second most common type of dementia. And not only a stroke, it could also be trauma to the brain. So if you suffer a brain injury, you can develop vascular dementia, which is the second most unknown type of dementia, right? And you can see the graph, and then the next one probably is you have mixed, and then dementia with Lewy bodies, and then all the other dementia. So it's really, really nice graph. So understanding that the most common type of dementia is Alzheimer's disease. Moving on to the next slide thing. Here's a picture of a human brain, and I like to call it the healthy versus damaged brain, right? So we have a human brain that is, it's nice and big. We have the lateral ventricle, cerebral cortex, all of these like terminology, anatomical terminology, and you can see it's what a healthy brain should look like. And then in the bottom image, you have a brain with Alzheimer's disease. And if you can't really tell, but it's a shriveled up brain. If let's pretend that a brain weighs about 8 pounds, something along those lines, a normal healthy brain. A brain with Alzheimer's disease will weigh 6 pounds, 5 pounds. It will weigh less, it will be smaller. So then you have an atrophy of the cerebral cortex, and then you have enlarged ventricles. All that big hole at the bottom, the atrophy of the hippocampus, is gonna be bigger, right? So you're gonna have these ventricles that are fluid filled with spaces within the brain. It's empty spaces in your brain, and you don't want to have empty spaces in your brain, right? So this is what Alzheimer's disease and dementias do to your brain in an anatomical level, so the cerebellum fills up with most of your skull, and it is involved with remembering, problem solving, thinking, and feeling. And when this part of the brain is damaged, we're gonna show symptoms of memory loss. We're gonna show symptoms of not being able to complete your daily task, and all these other Alzheimer's disease symptoms. Moving on to deeper close to, and so basically what it works on a molecular and cellular level. So we have on the left side on image number 1, it's what a normal neuron looks like. So that's what a normal neuron should look like in your brain, and it has all these little branches, and it's communicating with other neurons, and they're all connected to each other, happily moving information between neurons to neurons, and that's how basically it works. And then you have in image number 2, then that's when Alzheimer's disease starts. When it's not as strong, when it's a little bit progressive, you start to notice these yellow blockages, right? So these plaques, I would like to call them, these plaques are like stopping information from being passed from neuron to neuron, and then starting to deteriorate the information that is passed between these neurons, right? And then on picture number 3, it's what a heavily advanced Alzheimer's disease or dementia disease looks in the brain. So the neuron is like all destroyed, and we have a lot of plaques that are destroying the neuron. And then if we have less neurons in our brain, we are going to have troubles remembering, right? Because neurons connecting to each other is what creates a memory. So 2 neurons passing information to each other, that's a memory. So if those neurons can't communicate with each other, then we're going to have memory issues, right? So that's how, in an anatomical level, Alzheimer's disease works. As unfortunate as I can say, it's still not fully known that the cause of it. It's some type of disease, and medical technology hasn't advanced to that point. We're on the process of looking for a treatment, looking for a cure, and unfortunately, it's really hard because the brain is one of the most complicated muscles in the body. So that's definitely, we're still on the progress of that. So that's as much as I can tell you in an anatomical level. And then going back to some symptoms and some emotional things, right? Because the emotions are in the brain, right? So moving on to the next slide, we can see difficult behaviors of dementia. So 90% of the patients affected with dementia, 90%, so almost all of them, right? So they experience behavioral and psychological symptoms of dementia. So about 75% of the patients with dementia suffer from agitation, which is 75%. And then wondering if you ever seen on the news that or heard about your own neighborhood that you see a helicopter flying around that says the old lady with 75 years old wearing a skirt and wearing a brown shirt has been reported missing because she's been wandering, right? They wander because they started to do one task and then forgot what they were doing, and then they just start wandering around their house. And if their house is not properly secured and doesn't have locks, they can just walk out to the neighborhood, and it could be really dangerous. They could be standing in the middle of the street and they don't understand what's going on. So wandering is one of the most dangerous things that someone with dementia could have. Then we also have depression. We can't let aside mental issues and emotional issues. So people with Alzheimer's and dementia will get depressed a lot of the time because they do understand that they're sick, and they don't really know what's happening to them because of their own memory loss. And it's a really sad situation. So depression it's one of the big factors that comes with Alzheimer's disease and dementia, right? And then also it could get to the point where we have psychosis. So 30% of the population with dementia show symptoms of delusions, hallucinations, incoherence, and distorted perceptions of reality. They don't know what time it is. They don't know where they are. They don't know who you are. All of these things that we know on a daily basis, which is we're using logic. Who are you? You're my daughter. No, you're not my daughter. You're a stranger in my house. Is this even my house? Where am I, right? Things like this that we suffer with Alzheimer's and dementia. So this is a type of psychosis. And then we have at the bottom, we have screaming and violence, which we have 20%. It could get to the point where someone with Alzheimer's disease and dementia could get violent at you. They could start throwing objects at you. They could start scratching you. They could start getting violent because they are confused. They are in a state of mind which is extremely fragile. So they could have all these negative symptoms, right? So it could definitely very scary. And then moving on to my last slide. So 10 warning signs that I always like to talk about. If you like to go through them, I think they might be one by one due to the slide. So yeah, we have memory loss that disrupts daily life, challenges in planning and solving problems, difficulty completing familiar tasks at home or work, confusion with time and place, as we probably already said, trouble understanding visual images like pictures of your son, pictures of your family. They won't understand those pictures as well. New problem with words speaking. It gets to the point as the Alzheimer's gets progressive, speaking and understanding language, because the language center is in the brain, right? So things like that can get more complicated. And misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps, decrease or poor judgment of things, and the withdrawal from work or social activities. People get closed in their own mind. They start losing all those social activities, all that family, all those communications that you used to have. They start to close themselves off. And then we at the last one, changes in mood and personality. Like we already said, like it shows of psychosis and like being aggression, all those negative cognitive sides. So that has been my presentation for educational purposes. If you allow me, if time allows me, I have 2 minutes to present to Southern Caregiver Research Center. If we could go to the next slide, please. So Southern Caregiver Research Center is the leading nonprofit organization in San Diego County that offers free supportive services for family caregivers in English and in Spanish for free. This organization has been going for 35 years, right? Some of you guys maybe haven't heard about this organization, and we've been going on for 35 years, since 1978, which is an organization, it's been nonprofit from the start, and we've been helping the family caregiver. So we do not focus on the person who is sick. We focus on the person, on the family caregiver. So whoever takes care of the person who's sick, that's who we focus on, which is the family caregiver. So anyone who's caring for someone who has suffered a cognitive impairment after the age of 18, or a fair older adult who is 60 years of older qualifies for our programs. So definitely our services include things like short-term counseling, education and training, which I am doing right now at no cost, in English and Spanish. So these educations and trainings that I give out to any organization that wants to just listen about Alzheimer's and dementia, which is pretty awesome, at no cost, English and Spanish. So anyone can just request a presentation with me, and I'll freely go talk about them about Alzheimer's and dementia. We also have case management support groups, specialized information, employer resources for organizations, and legal and financial consultations. We have things that we could get you hours with lawyers, hours with accountants to help you out with all these difficult governmental forms, right? And then the next slide is really quickly, just we're gonna have an event called the National Family Caregivers Month, and we're gonna have a conversation with the CDA, so the California Department of Aging. We're gonna talk about with the director of this program to just talk about more about the master plan of aging. Here's the picture, and if someone would like to take a picture. Moving on to the next slide, we can move on really quickly. And we have a care portal. That's a webpage, www.caregivercenter.org. These are all of the resources that we have. Next slide, please. And our social network, we are everywhere. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube at Southern Caregivers, SouthernCaregiverCenter.com. You can find us out. And then the last point is here's our website, www.caregivercenter.org. And there's our phone numbers at the bottom. So if you guys are interested in reaching out to us, please feel free. Thank you so much, commissioners, for your time. And this has been Southern Caregiver Research Center. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Santiago. Commissioners, do we have any questions for the speaker?
This is Commissioner Martin. Thank you, Santiago.
Absolutely.
One of the things that you didn't mention as a nurse, I was thinking, do you cover things like the hearing deficits and how that affects or lack of stimulation affecting the dementia?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we have.
And then medications as well?
Yeah, we have presentations that go more in depth on treatments and things like what was good for someone with Alzheimer's and dementia and what things are not. For example, that we know that music is really good for
Yes.
people with Alzheimer's and dementia because it stimulates some parts of the brain that are really good for them. So we do have all this specialized information. It just wasn't in this presentation, but we do have presentations that are many presentations that are different types of treatments or different types of situations with Alzheimer's and dementia. Absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you for providing
Of course, absolutely. Any other questions?
these of
Yeah.
the next couple of
Definitely.
centuries.
This is Commissioner Ling. I agree with Commissioner Martin, I've actually heard anecdotally that some patients are misdiagnosed with dementia because of hearing loss.
Of course, yeah. So definitely, Alzheimer's and dementia. It's not something that there's like a blood test for you to test, right? It's definitely something that it's hard to diagnosed at home, right? You're the one. If you're the caregiver, you're the one that notices all these symptoms, right? So definitely, you are the first point of contact with the doctor and say, my family member has this and this and this, and then you're gonna have a conversation with the doctor, and hopefully the doctor will be able to recognize this. So we always recommend to go to a doctor that specializes in neuroscience and neuro things with the brain, so that you'll be able to understand it better instead of going with your PCP, which is a more general doctor. So definitely, you want to get diagnosed with somebody who is specializing in Alzheimer's and dementia. Absolutely.
Chair Ling, again, I have another question for you. Does SCRC still provide respite? And if so, can you talk about it?
Yeah, so respite hours. So unfortunately, we are still offering respite hours. Unfortunately, it's only on emergency and a case-by-case basis. So you have to be a client of us. So once you become a client of us, we'll talk with your family counselor, and then if your needs are of extreme necessity, we'll be able to provide those respite hours. But we cannot guarantee offer hours to anybody. And since we're a nonprofit organization, our budget is kind of limited. So that's why we only provide that in emergency situations and if it's really necessary.
Just for clarity, can you explain to the other commissioners what respite is?
So respite is a break from caregiver. So if you are somebody who's caregiving 24/7 and you take care of your loved one who's sick 24/7, you need a break. That is what's called respite. So an organization will provide a specialized nurse for you, or be able to bring your loved one to a special organization, a special building that will take care of them for you for a couple hours or a couple days or whatever. That's what respite is. SCRC only offers emergency respite hours, but we do offer it in case-by-case basis, yes. Any other questions?
I think we're good. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Absolutely.
Okay, we are on item 5 of our agenda, oral communications. Do we have any speakers today?
We do not.
Next is item 6, changes to the agenda. Are there any agenda changes?
No, not today.
Great. All right, item 7, approval of the minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of October 18th, 2022?
This is Commissioner Hanwett. I will make a motion to approve the minutes from October 18th, 2022.
Commissioner Hanwett has given the motion. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Koblenz, I second that motion.
Okay, I guess we're up for a roll call vote.
All right, when you hear your name, if you're in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Commissioner Hanwett?
Aye.
Commissioner Koblenz? Aye. Commissioner Farley?
Martin?
I'm sorry, Martin? Aye. Commissioner Ling?
Aye.
Let the record show it passes unanimously.
Next action item, Senior Citizen Commission Annual Work Plan. Let's report any updates to the work plan since our last meeting in October.
Commissioner Koblenz, I'm not sure, does attending the Oktoberfest count?
Sure.
And there was something else, but, I attended the city Halloween event, which was really fun.
Oh, this is the
Yeah.
Dias de los
Yeah,
Muertos?
that was great.
Yes.
I enjoyed that one.
I've heard really amazing things about that.
I even got a T-shirt.
Okay. We should probably this is probably the right time to talk about preparations for the holiday parade as well. Commissioner Martin, did you want?
Trying to figure out if I had something. So I guess it wasn't in here. This is Commissioner Martin on the December 3rd, and I think it's 5 o'clock or 5:30.
5:30, and you'll want to have the cars in place and be checked in no later than 4:45, but you can check in as early as 4 p.m. at the information booth once your cars are in place.
And better to be early than late.
Correct.
Packet that you gave us.
And I will send you all, this is Manager Goodsell, I will send you all an updated packet for this year. It usually comes out about a week prior to the parade date. So as soon as that's available, I'll email it to you.
And thank you so much.
Sure.
In preparation for that, I just like to thank the people that came to our house to see the cars, Shirley and, oops. Get your hand off of there. Kublitz and who else came? Your family. And we looked at the cars and looked at some of the issues or concerns about safety, reviewed those, and decorations. And I think your partner is going to maybe get some shawls or muffs
try to-
or
We're going to
decorations.
see for the people, decorating the people, we're going to see if we can get some sort of appropriate wintry, festive type things. And so the first thought was scarves or
Hats.
holiday hats, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think we have two beautiful classic cars provided by Commissioner Martin's family, and they will also be driving. Looks like we will have both the sedan and the truck will be
Yeah.
filled up with people, so it'll be fun.
The truck has 3 people, I think you said.
Correct. So it'll have Edgar Engert's wife and her 2 sons there.
And that'll be nice because all 3 of them can be they're big windows.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll be very visible.
Well, thank you so much, because that's always our biggest challenge and struggle is to find vehicles. So
I
we
haven't
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
I
yours are
haven't
beautiful.
reached out to them about anything in the way of wearing or anything, but I'm assuming they'll dress warm, and that's all they.
Sure.
And the banners come to us, I assume.
So will we get the banners ahead of time, or just
The
when?
banners will be at the information booth, so you can come by. I'll be there as early as 2 o'clock. So you're welcome to come by when the vehicle's there, pick up the banners, and go ahead and start putting them on.
Okay, so that'll be the
Because
last
the parade
thing.
doesn't start until 5:30, so that should give you plenty of time.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
I think that's it for what I can remember.
Okay, so I believe that was Work Plan Item 1. Let's go to Work Plan Item 2, identify guest speakers for monthly meetings. Any updates? I know we did a little swap. We, in a previous meeting, and I think you may have been out at that time, we had asked if we could hear from, I don't remember the name of the program, but there's actually a city program for dealing with the homeless. I was wondering if we could hear from that individual or a representative of that organization.
Sure, this is Manager Good, so I'll do some research and find out what city representative would be the appropriate person to speak on that, and then I can go ahead and schedule them in January along with the speaker on the COVID topic that you were interested in.
That would be great, and obviously mainly in the context of senior homeless.
Sure, okay.
Commissioner Koblenz, with regard to that, Christie, I think it's incredibly appropriate because in January is the point-in-time count, so the education prior to that might allow some other people to get a little bit more involved in that count.
Okay,
Thank
great,
you.
thank you.
Oh, great. Okay, item 3, engages organizers and volunteers with local community service organizations and the Community and Senior Center. Any updates?
This is Commissioner Martin on the senior gift bags that CRC is doing. I have a group that's doing 40 bags and another group that's doing 30. I did hear from the CRC staff that they're needed about 100 and something more, so they're going to get those in the next 11 days or something. But in that also goes Clinton's information sheet my question to you is, do you get those directly to CRC, or do I need to pick those up from you?
This is Manager Good, so I'll have you pick those up directly from us because you're the one coordinating the basket program with the CRC.
Okay.
So when they're ready, I will have them available, and Clinton will notify you to come pick them up.
Perfect.
Thanks.
That's wonderful. And on that basis of that insert, I'd like to thank you, Chair Ling, for your help in making that a little bit better with your comments.
Anything else for this agenda item? No? Okay, work plan item 4, continue partnership with the Encinitas Rotary Club and explore other Encinitas Service Club partnerships to recognize or promote the Senior Citizen of the Year and Lifetime Achievement Award. Any updates?
Just a current ongoing working with the Rotary, allowing them to be a little bit more aware so that they're more engaged for next year, and it seems to be working reasonably well.
Just on that same program with the cars and the awardees in the car, does somebody take pictures of them so that they could have a picture? The woman who's coming for her husband?
You know, if a commissioner would be willing to do that, I would be very appreciative because I will be busy at the info booth.
Bet you will.
Helping all the parade participants and guiding them and working with the crowd. So if one of you would be willing to take a photo, that would be fantastic.
That's good.
Yep, we can try to get a few pictures.
Commissioner Koblenz, real quick question. The Encinitas Chamber is unveiling that mural on the wall. Just an FYI, it's on December 6th, but it's very much representative of Edgar and that whole Encinitas. So just if people would like to go by, I think it's going to be quite exciting to they moved it from where it was to where it is now, so it'll be an actual unveiling. So I think that'll be kind of fun.
Oh, wonderful.
Commissioner Martin, do you know what time that is on the 6th? 5:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Work plan item 5, enhance senior programs, including intergenerational programming in collaboration with the Encinitas Youth Commission and other service organizations. So I can speak a little bit to that today. We've been in email exchanges with representatives of the Youth Commission and their ad hoc group for intergenerational activities. We've walked through, brainstormed a number of ideas, and the ones that have stuck have been, one is a tech help, sort of an intergenerational tech help for assisting seniors with their devices. Another one is a game night, and I don't think we've worked out all the details of that, but I imagine it could be your traditional board games and card games, but it could also expand into video games and interactive/online games. The biggest project we've been talking about looks like it will happen in the spring. And we're talking about a food drive, which is sort of in the off-season, because that's usually when, of course, during the holidays, everybody's thinking about that. But in the springtime, they're not. And the thought was that maybe we could get some pointers from Commissioner Hanwit on how we might go about doing that and organizing that. The idea is it would be a collaborative project between the two commissions, the community center, and perhaps some of the schools nearby, and try to pull something together for that.
This is Commissioner Hanwit. I would love to help you with that.
Thank you.
I'm always ready to expand. So, yeah, let's
Okay?
make it
So
happen.
we've committed to having a joint meeting of the two ad hoc groups in December, after all the holiday stuff is, well, at least to December 3rd is behind us. And I'm thinking we want the commissioners and the staff to be in that one as well, yes?
That would be wonderful.
Okay, so I think we'll have to work out a time that works for both staff when they're on duty, and then also for school, after school in the afternoons for the youth commissioners.
So I would suggest maybe a late afternoon time,
Yeah,
and
okay,
I can be pretty flexible.
okay, great.
Commissioner Koblenz, one question. I actually was online listening to the Youth Commission. They were quite impressive. Do we not show their faces?
I believe that one's just recorded,
Yeah, it's just audio.
just audio recorded.
Yeah. Definitely an opportunity that I think is worthwhile supporting. I was very pleased with what I heard.
I've been very impressed by them, too. So we're looking forward to doing that, and we'll let the other commissioners know what's going on as we get more into this activity. The other thing I wanted to mention was, and it's particularly about this ad hoc group, is I think just because of the nature of the commissioners who are serving right now, there's a lot of interest in trying to do these kind of programs, and more than the 3 who are already working on it. So the question I have is, do we want to do a little bit of musical chairs and swap out some commissioners so we have an opportunity for other commissioners to participate? Keep in mind that we are going to start preparing for a new work plan in March. So there is also an opportunity for us to break up this ad hoc group into 2 separate groups so that there's enough space for everybody to participate who wants to. But in the meantime, between January and March, do we see a value, or is there interest in wanting to serve in this ad hoc group, or can we wait until March?
Commissioner Koblenz, I think with timing and the longevity of which we want to really look at this, I think waiting for the new work plan might be a little bit better idea instead of mixing it up, because what's been done so far is wonderful. Really like to honor that and see it come to fruition.
This is Commissioner Hanwood. So I just have one question. If you're going to be talking about the food project in December, can I be involved in that if I'm not on the ad hoc committee?
I think we're going to wait. The discussion that I've had with the youth commissioners was that we would tackle one of these one-day events first, just to get acquainted. And it would probably be, so it'd either be the tech help or the game night. Become familiar with each other and with working with the youth groups and the seniors, and then take on each of the successive projects as they come. So we do one day thing, we do another one day, and then the big project would be the food drive, which would be in the spring. And I think that's the time where we might want to have a bigger discussion. You could be our resident expert. The other
Well, at
thing,
that point, this is Manager Goodsell, you may decide to become part of that ad hoc committee, or if it gets separated out with the new work plan.
that's true.
And at that point, you could serve. If the work plan gets split into 2 in March, when you're talking about that. So that could be an opportunity, but you would want to be on the ad hoc committee if you're going to be participating.
Okay. There is a 4th activity that we talked about through the brainstorming, and that was a pen pal program between youth and seniors. And I thought that was very good of the youth commissioners to come up with that one, but that also poses some challenges, particularly when we talk about safety. And so we decided we would table that until we had a little bit more experience, and then figure out if we had the resources to tackle that one. But right now, the 3 that are on the table are tech help, game night, and food drive. Okay,
This is Commissioner Martin and I also agree that given November and December being somewhat on a speed train, it's going to be January before we know it, and maybe waiting until the March time to open it up to some musical chairs would be good.
yeah. But I think as Manager Goodsell says, at that point, we would have room, and we would have 2 ad hoc groups, and there would be 6 commissioners working on these 2 groups, so that would be great.
So this is Manager Gosel. In March, you would start developing the new work plan, and it would
Right.
still obviously need to go to City Council for approval. But you could start thinking along those lines of, of what work plan items you would like to see, and if you would like more than what we have currently.
Yeah. So I actually strongly encourage everybody to be thinking about what goes into the work plan before we have to start talking about the work plan. That makes it go a lot faster. Okay. We are on work plan item 6. Establish a relationship with the county by actively participating in Age Well San Diego 2.0 conversations. Any updates?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Hanwit. On November 3rd, I attended the Housing Committee meeting for Age Well San Diego 2.0, and they had a speaker from the Department of Homeless Solutions who talked about something called the Shallow Rent Subsidy Pilot Program. Now, I'm not sure why shallow, but I do know that the Pilot Shallow Rental Subsidy Program is going to provide a monthly rental subsidy of $500 paid directly to the landlord of a low-income senior San Diegan, and each subsidy will be paid for up to 18 months. And this was voted unanimously to pass, so that's actually going to happen, which I thought was pretty cool. And then we had another speaker from Aging and Independent Services who provided an update about the aging roadmap. And I don't know if you're familiar with the aging roadmap, but that's San Diego's regional vision and framework for supporting healthy aging for people of all ages. And the county and the city of San Diego passed a resolution to create 10,000 affordable homes on October 3rd, 2022. And so it sounds like a lot of homes that should make a dent a small dent, but a dent in the housing issues in the county and city. And they're going to be using, so it said at the summit, the county and the city of San Diego approved a resolution to expand the affordable housing supply by 10,000 homes using government land by 2030. So that's how it's going to happen on government land. So again, these Age Well San Diego 2.0 meetings happen every other month, and they have, I go to the housing meetings, but they have others. They have the social one and transportation one. So you can go to that Age Well San Diego 2.0 website, and it's very easy to sign up and very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanwick. Question, could we have somebody from Age Well come talk to us?
This is Manager Goodsell, absolutely.
Moving on to work plan.
What might be interesting for those serving on the speaker ad hoc committee is to prioritize, because I wouldn't recommend having more than 2 speakers at one meeting just so we have time to conduct business. So if somebody on that ad hoc would want to prioritize the speakers for me and then send me that list, then I can start working on it and lining them up according to the priorities.
That would be, we're already lined up for January, so we're talking about February and March. Okay. We'll get back to you. Work plan item 7, work collaboratively with city staff and Senior Citizens Commission ad hoc committees to determine programs requiring grant funding.
Well, this is Commissioner Hanwett, and we do have an update about our search for funding to get the Vial of Life envelopes available to up to 1,000 people, seniors in Encinitas, and maybe you could continue and tell us where the money came from.
Sure. So
and- yeah,
thank you
'cause-
so much, Commissioner Howitt. First of all, for bringing this to everyone's attention and how important these Vial of Lives are, and learning in your research that they are no longer available for free with the nice magnetic envelopes. So we've done some research, and we put a request into the San Diego Seniors Community Foundation, and we just learned this morning that they are going to fund the Vial of Lives for us. So I'm happy to announce that they are going to award us $2,000, which will allow us to purchase 1,000 vials, and then we can determine how best to distribute those to seniors in need.
So,
And then in addition to that, they're also going to be funding $1,050 for up to 35 gift cards at $30 each for the Turkey Bucks program that will go to our senior nutrition participants, those who are registered with the nutrition program. And that will take, the distribution of those will take place on the the day before Thanksgiving, so 23rd of November, which will be amazing. And then also Chris Kelly, he's the Director of Partnerships with the San Diego Community Senior Foundation. He is actually going to be speaking and being interviewed by CBS 8 News today at 4:15. So if you have an opportunity to watch, he's going to be talking about the funds that he has secured for us and talking about the Vial of Lives. So thank you, Commissioner Howitt, for all of your hard work on this.
A little
That's
free
exciting.
marketing, that's nice.
Yeah, right. Well, and the only other thing that I wanted to mention is that I did have an opportunity to speak with somebody from Meals on Wheels about distributing them, and she was thrilled, and she said that they have about 75 people that they serve in Encinitas, and they'd be happy to deliver them. And I spoke with a gentleman from You Are Not Alone as well, and he too was very excited about it and felt that that would not be an issue for them to distribute it. And he gave me the name of a woman from Aging and Independent Services. He thought she might have a supply of them because she does training for them, and she always hands them out during the training. And I had a very nice conversation with her, and she was going to search and see if they had any in their offices. But she also said that they have a flyer that lists important phone numbers, because the ad hoc committee had talked about how it might be nice to be able to insert something else besides the application into the envelope. And she was going to send me that. And I haven't heard back from her yet. I reached out one time, but I'll keep after her. And it's something that maybe our ad hoc committee can get together and decide what we want to have on that extra insert.
This is Commissioner Ling. So while we're on talking about Vial of Life, do we want to, are we going to get those in time to perhaps include those with the inserts for Senior Center?
So I do have approximately 100 Vial of Lives right now that AMR supplied me with, so we can use those
Okay.
for the CRC baskets.
Commissioner Martin, that would be great.
Okay. And as Commissioner Martin mentioned, we do have a draft insert ready to go that talks about the nutrition program, Project CARE. It was shared with the ad hoc committee. And we could include maybe a separate insert with the phone numbers and the resources, if that works, if you're able to obtain that from, I think you said it was Aging and Independent Services?
Commissioner Koblenz, I actually have some outlines of those that I'll be happy to send you. with all types of resources that I started 2.5 years ago, and then COVID hit, and they're actually updated, and they have little scans on them. So I'll send them to you, and you take a review and see what you think.
Commissioner Martin, was that the document that you were talking about, your phone number getting
Oh, no,
corrected?
that was the
Okay.
letter. Okay, work plan item 8, visit senior centers in San Diego County for knowledge and to make recommendations to staff on programs such as lunch program enhancements and services that would be of value to Encinitas seniors. Any updates?
Commissioner Koblenz, again, I really do want to express how well our program has developed with Clinton and Jessica, and it looks different, it feels different, it even smells different. We are working on a little bit of advertising through the appropriate channels. It's interesting because Commissioner Farley asked about getting other areas to have lunch with us, and the truth is, I've visited all of them, and the lunch program itself is really a neighborhood program. So somebody from Encinitas is not going to go to Rancho Santa Fe or San Marcos, but I just wanted to clarify that. So we're working on more of the social aspect, and I think the key right here is still not just lunch program. This is about social and involvement, especially coming out of COVID, where isolation, we heard him talk, and I have a couple clients and people, it really has made a difference. And we need people to get back out and start to socialize for so many reasons. So I think we're doing well, and again, we're in the holiday season, but overall, I'm very pleased with what's occurred.
I was just going to say, I devoted most of my energy, this is Commissioner Martin, on that with the senior bags and the parade, so I'm sort of been off that, but thank you.
Work plan item 9, research best practices as it relates to senior issues and send letters of support as needed to city council and commissions. Any updates? Okay.
Okay, so reporting on the statistics, we had 388 meals served in October at the lunch program, and 138 rides were given. The special nutrition events held in November included the November 4th birthday Sunday celebration, November 15th bingo, and November 23rd will be our Giving Thanks holiday party, where we'll distribute the Turkey Buck gift cards. And that was so generously, again, provided by the Senior Community Foundation. And then the upcoming theme parties that we have in December is the birthday Sunday celebration again on December 2nd, bingo on the 20th, and December 30th will be the New Year's Eve theme party. There was a total of 1,009 non-nutrition participants registered for programs in October. And then upcoming city special events include the New Year's Eve dance, and the tickets for that went on sale on October 21st. Those are $15 a piece, and that includes a catered meal, live music, and a toast to 2023. Art night is around the corner on November 19th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. And the holiday parade, of course, is December 3rd, and that goes from 5:30 to approximately 7:30 p.m. The city staff in recreation are working diligently on the winter recreation guide, so that's in progress right now, and registration for that begins at 8 a.m. on December 5th. I'd like to announce that Vicki Rubenstein, Recreation Supervisor, she retired from the City of Encinitas after serving for 31 years. So congratulations to her. I know she's enjoying her freedom. So we dearly miss her already. She retired at the end of October. And then also Recreation Supervisor Parker Anderson accepted an analyst position with the Public Works Department. And this is an advancement for him and will allow him to gain more experience and growth with his career path. So big congratulations to him as well. And Manager Staten and I will be working on a plan for coverage until those positions are filled. And that one other item. So we do have a vacancy on the senior commission. Lori Green, Commissioner Green resigned. And so we do have one application, and my understanding is that the item will go to City Council for a decision to be made either on December 14th or December 21st to try to fill that vacancy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're on agenda item 10, commissioner member initiated agenda items. Do we have any commissioner member initiated agenda items? No. Item 11. Okay, 11A, Senior Citizens Commission's role in welcoming and onboarding peer-to-peer new commissioners. This is something we brought up a couple of meetings ago. In addition to the commissioner orientation that's done by staff, to have maybe a little bit more personal one-on-one with any new incoming commissioners to help them adapt to how this commissioner, what you can and cannot do in the commission and how the other commissioners work. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, Commissioner Martin?
Thank you. This is Commissioner Martin. I'd like to thank again the chair and the manager for their help qualifying this handout that came with our minutes. I had a couple of corrections. You said to bring those up at this time? In that first part or in the note? In the first part, under background, if you go back to where you were, it says new commissioners receive and orientation. It should be an, if you wanted to correct that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And then it said, I wondered if it should say that they received this education from the manager or specifically anybody, because it doesn't necessarily say that they receive it from specifically anyone, whereas the next down says something about receiving it from the commissioners. Do you see what I mean? So that was just a comment. And then on the second page, where it says Chair Ling draft the welcome letter, you could add my name.
It was definitely a collaboration.
But I think it's
This is Manager
great.
Goodsell, and we can note that in the minutes.
I think it's great. Our discussions really were around how can we support a welcoming, informational personal experience, particularly since there's many of us that are rather new at it, and foster that new person in with a little more encouragement, and hopefully they'll stay longer and get connected with a work plan item that they're interested in. That was what we were discussing. That's our intent. Thank you so much for your help.
Do we want to make a motion to approve and then vote? Okay, is there a motion to approve our I'll have to go back to the title. To approve the new Senior Citizen Commission's role in welcoming and onboarding new commissioners?
Commissioner Martin, I'd like to make a motion to approve this welcoming onboarding process.
Commissioner Martin has made the motion to approve. Do I have a second?
This is Commissioner Hanwood. I will second that motion.
Okay, Commissioner Hanwood seconds. We will do another roll call vote.
So just for clarification, are you approving the letter as is, or are there any edits needed?
I think there will be some minor edits, but nothing that affects the content.
I think the letter itself was accepted as is.
Yeah.
Just the,
I think it's just really the example that's there needs to be tweaked a little bit.
Okay. Then I will call your name. If you're in favor of that, just say aye. Chair Ling,
Aye?
Commissioner Hanwit,
Aye.
Commissioner Koblenz,
Aye.
and Commissioner Martin.
aye,
Right, let the record show it passes unanimously.
thank you.
Should we just, this is Magic Joe, do you want to discuss the tweaks necessary for the letter? I know there was a comment about the contact information, that could be redacted.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you were interested in
No.
changing?
Just the contact information at the bottom.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we need another motion, Julie, or are we okay?
I think we're okay the way it was.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, agenda item 12, commissioners' reports. Roundtable, all commissioners.
Well, this is Commissioner Hanwit, and I attended a really interesting webinar on November 21st that was put on by the Palos Verdes Peninsula Village. I don't know if you're familiar with the Village movement in California. It's been around for a really long time, but it's, I want to make sure I get this right. It's a membership organization in California that connects older adults to the community programming and expertise that they need to live independent lives with purpose and promise. And we actually have one locally in Carlsbad, but their focus is social. So if you join the village in Carlsbad, they send you emails about get-together kinds of things, book clubs, that kind of stuff. But in other places in the state, they have other opportunities to help, for people to help each other, like with simple repairs in their home or shopping, transportation, stuff like that. Anyway, this particular village put on this webinar, and they had a speaker named Ken Dickwald, who, and I wanted to share this with you because I thought it was so interesting. He talked about the birth of life's third age and the retirement of retirement. And his thought was that we should think of life in 3 stages, the first being maybe 0 to 25, when you're getting educated and figuring out a focus in your life. And then the second stage is when you're actually involved in a workspace and maybe changing that, but that's what your focus is. The third, which we've always thought of as retirement, he didn't think we should think of it that way. We should think of it more as setting new goals and having new opportunities, because he said in his experience that most people that are retired don't necessarily just want to sit home and watch TV. So you know, you could find a new purpose in life. That's something that maybe you hadn't even thought about before. So it was really interesting and very entertaining.
That is great, that is great concept. I'd love
Right,
to
the
hear
retirement
a
of retirement.
presentation on that. It is fully, this is Commissioner Martin, it is fully what we see in the epidemiology of humans as well, that if we can create purpose and passion and engagement, the quality of life significantly improves. And when we're doing this as a roundtable, one thing I would add to that is how it fell in alignment with different conversations I've just heard as I've been involved in the Day of the Dead, or just walking through and talking to seniors throughout different activities that I do. And it came up just kind of spontaneously, and I'm not saying this to be critical or anything, but a lot of people just said, I don't know if Encinitas always wants seniors to be engaged in the whole community, that they sometimes seem to separate seniors. And I think if I ask questions about that, some of their responses, you can hear that they have some validity. And I just thought, what you said, I think we need to do, we've talked about it in our different groups, a better job of engaging that dialogue throughout our community, because we have some amazing talent here and a lot of great energy, and perhaps we could do better.
Good point.
Any other comments or?
I think you're right, but I don't think it's specifically attached to Encinitas. I think it's definitely a cultural situation without aging myself. When my mother was my age, they pretty much were done, or they were sitting, right? And I think this is exactly the cultural aspect of re-educating and re-indoctrinating, that going
So
back
this
to the
is
three
Manager
stages,
Goodsell.
we're just ready to start and have fun.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This is just a time to report out, not to engage in opinions on what was stated.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And on that note, the November 15th, 2022 Senior Citizens Commission meeting is hereby adjourned at 3:07 PM. Thank you, everybody.